Hey everyone, Eric here from Drive Protected. In today's episode, we got this 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation behind me, and we're going to be doing paint protection film installation on the front bumper. That is going to include paint protection film on this lower steel portion, this middle portion, and then as well as this upper portion right over here. So it's a bit of a tedious bumper to install paint protection film on it, so I'm just going to show you guys how. Hope you guys enjoy this video. All right, so I've got the lower bumper back rolled into place. All I need to do now is get my slip solution behind it. So I'm using my True Spray keg system here. Link in description if you want to pick one up for yourself, which I highly suggest you do. Now, if we had sensors in this bumper, we would be starting right near the middle because there would be a sensor like right around here. But since there are no sensors, we need to find out our starting point. Now, on this bumper, it's going to be starting right over here on this corner. Now with this bumper, it is a bit odd for me to have a starting point so far off center, but because we got no reference points to start, this is where it's going to be. So now to line everything up, I want to make sure that this relief cut down here is lined up at the very bottom. So I'm using this relief cut to kind of line me up top, and this is also going to help me determine how high or how low I should be as well too. So what I'm going to do is get some tack solution behind the film there right now. Now that looks like it's about right. So squeegee that down. And now I'm going to come down over here. There we go. That's down. That's good. I'm going to start by getting this area down here first. So we'll move over a bit. Now as you can see, we have a little bit of stretch to do to get the film to lay itself down over here. So I'm going to spray my tack solution behind on the paint there. I'm going to stretch it in place. Just going to hold that there and then come along with my squeegee, tack that down. Now what we can do is pull the film back up over here, and I'm going to start spraying. Got my tack solution behind the film. Now, I personally don't like installing these bumpers. I don't like the way they're designed because you have so much coverage in an area that's so hard to get your squeegee into place that sometimes you're left trimming a lot. So I've got this down. Now you can see right over here. What I'm going to do is just squeegee this all down right here, and that should all just fall itself into place. Oftentimes what I like to do is kind of just overstretch these bumpers a little bit. That might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but just so I can have less fingers to deal with here, I'd rather overstretch it so this all lays down, and then I can just do some extra trimming over here to make everything else line up and look good. So like this, for example, I'll trim this out and I'll give it a nice relief cut later, and it'll all look good. There we go. Now we can take and squeegee everything out. There we go, that's good. Now we're gonna start working our way over a little bit. Now, one thing you're gonna notice right here is we don't have a cutout for the license plate, and we didn't have that option on software. And you're probably wondering why I don't remove these. It's because it's pop riveted on, and they only go on perfect at the factory. They never go on perfect when you put them back on once you take them off. So I'm just gonna pull the plate bracket back, and I'm just gonna pull the paint protection film down just like so it's in place, and that's good. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I don't like starting so far off the center. I like to start kind of in the middle and then kind of work my way out towards the end. But I got fingers popping up over here that I have to deal with. So we're gonna go and do this area on the other side next. Okay, there we go, that's good. Now as I stretch this out, the PPF, you can see the finger starts to disappear on the other side, so that's good. That's what we want. So same thing, just getting tack solution behind the film, and we're just lining everything up where it needs to be. That's good. There we go. Now we can start working from that side over. So we're gonna move back over to the driver's side. Now we're gonna pull the film down. There we go, that's good. Now, we do have a finger right over here. I want to get it down, so I'm just going to stretch the film out a bit so that becomes more manageable. So I'm just getting my hand behind the film. Got my tack solution there. I got that lined up nicely, so that's good. There we go. Now I can take and pop this film back. Actually, I gotta get that a little bit lower, so I'm just gonna pull the film back. Get more solution on top of the film. Go. That's good. Now, probably wondering how we're going to deal with this. If this finger is popping up, we're going to pull the film down. Just going to hold that down like so. Now, I'm gonna pop this back, and I'm just gonna pinch this and hold it away from the vehicle. And I'm just gonna saw these fingers down side to side. We'll take one big finger and we'll create a bunch of small manageable fingers to get down. There we go. Okay, that's good. Now we can come over here. Get more tack solution behind the film. And we're just gonna take and squeegee this all down nicely. Now we're gonna deal with everything up top here. So you can see we have a bunch of tension on the film. Now I'm just gonna pull the film back. And we're gonna start right here at the relief cut. I'm gonna pinch the film and I'm just gonna take and squeegee that down at an angle. Saw that finger down. And that it looks perfect. Now, with this rounded corner, you want to be extra thorough to make sure that you're not leaving any solution left behind under the film. Okay, that's good. Now we can start working ourselves. Out here over to the middle. So I want to make sure that my alignment is proper on the top, because that's where the customer is going to look. And we want to make sure that that's consistent. And we're going to pull our film back right here. We have our tack solution behind the film. That's good. Now you're probably wondering what we're going to do with this, with the film behind the license plate bracket. There's two things you could do. You could trim it off, you could trim around it, or you can just leave it, seeing as it'll never be seen again unless someone takes the license plate bracket off. No one's ever going to see it, so that's what we're going to do in this situation. We're just going to leave it. Okay, now we got this finger we have to deal with. Anytime I have a finger to deal with, I always like to pinch the film, pull it away from the vehicle, and just saw that finger down side to side. Sleepy? Okay, there we go. Driver's side is done. Now let's do the passenger side. So what I'm going to do before we start is I'm going to get a little bit more slip solution behind the film, just because it has had some time to kind of dry itself out. Now, same thing we did on the driver's side. We want to make sure that our alignment is proper, and that looks good right about there. So I got these 3 fingers right here, nothing to worry about. Just saw those fingers down at an angle. And that's good. Okay. Now we're going to go up here. We're going to get this down. There we go. That's good. Now we got to deal with this big finger over here. So I'm just going to pinch the film like this. And we're just going to squeegee everything down side to side. A lot of times when people are first getting into installing paint protection film, they see fingers pop up like this, for example, and they think, what am I doing wrong? And it's not necessarily that you're doing something wrong. It's just when you take a one-dimensional product like paint protection film and you put it on a three-dimensional product like a vehicle with different shapes and curvatures for all of their panels, you know, you have to manipulate the film into place, and that's always going to result in having fingers. So it's just a matter of how to deal with these fingers. And oftentimes it's just a matter of knowing how to hold your squeegee and how to properly use it. As you can see, I'm just sawing these fingers down ever so slightly. I'm not going at them straight, I'm coming at them at an angle, and that's helping them lay down completely flat. Now what I'm going to do here with this curve is I'm just going to take my finger, I'm going to get my finger to lay that film down first. Then I can come back, squeegee it down. All right, perfect. Now if you want to come around to this side, we're going to finish this side of the bumper off. So we got more slip solution behind the film. And now I got my tack solution behind there, and I'm just going to stretch this into place. Actually, I got a piece of contamination that just got behind there, so I need to remove that first. There we go. Then we're going to come back to the top. We're going to pull our film back, and we're going to get tack solution behind the film. And there we go, that's good. Now I can squeegee all this down. And that's good. Now I'm going to pull this flap back. Same thing I did on the other side. I'm going to trim this out. Okay. That's good. This lower portion of the bumper is done. Next part we're going to do is going to be this middle portion. All right, so we're going to get started on this middle bumper piece. So like I said on the lower piece, we're always looking for our starting reference points. And since we don't have anything near the front of near the center of the truck, we're going to be starting right over here by this this side vent. So I'm going to get the PPF lined up nicely on this corner and down here. And I'm just going to spray my tack solution behind the film right now. Just going to stretch that into place so that's lined up nicely. There we go. Okay, that's good. Now, as you can see, we actually have to stretch the PPF to get it to line up all the way around, but we're not going to worry about that right now, because the next reference point that I'm going to do is just getting the PPF lined up over here underneath the headlight. So I got my tack solution there. There we go, that's good. Now we can squeegee everything down. Now, we are going to be having a seam right over here when we do this top piece. So we want to make sure that, you know, everything is lined up nicely right around here. So I'm going to spray a bit of tack solution behind the film, and I want to get this to sit down. Okay, there we go. That's good. Now we can continue to work our way around. So we're going to move over a bit. Do you want to move over just a bit? There we go. I'm going to pull the film back. Get more slip solution behind the film, more on top of the film as well too. Now what we want to do is we want to stretch the PPF into place right around this vent. Now you can see just how much stretch I have to do just to get that to line up. So if I do that, then I'm gonna have to stretch down over here, and then I'm gonna have to take this little piece of film and stretch it so it lines up with this seam right here. So in fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and line this up perfectly over here, because this is gonna be the hardest thing, is getting this lined up perfectly. And if I have to stretch all the way around, that's going to be very hard to get that to line up and make it look good. So I'm going to start right here. And we're going to line this up just like so. Got that squeegee down, or held down just with my thumb. I'm going to follow up with the squeegee. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stretch actually that's going to pop as soon as I stretch on it. Now I'm going to stretch the PPF outwards a bit. Got that. There we go. Now I should be able to just stretch this upwards and get that to line up. Perfect. 100% exactly what I wanted to do. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. That's my arrogant comment of the day. Now I'm just taking and massaging all the film down over here. As you can see, we're starting to wrinkle here. So I'm just taking my hand to massage those out. Now what I'm going to do is we want to have good alignment right along here. So just going to hold that there with my thumb. That's good. Now we can, actually we don't even have to stretch. Everything just lays right down up top here. There we go, that's good. Down. Now we're going to move over just a little bit and get this lined up. That's lined up right where it needs to be. Now we find ourselves in a bit of an interesting predicament. wondering what are we gonna do with the fingers. And what we are gonna do is we have some trimming that we're gonna have to do to get this to lay down, because we have a relief cut right here, and the relief cut is sitting a little bit higher than the bottom. This is a Core PPF pattern, in case you're wondering, and I'm very happy with their patterns. It's just very rare to have to trim. So in a situation like this, I know that I have perfect alignment all the way around the side vent right here, and ultimately when the customer looks at it, they're gonna wanna see nice alignment all the way around, and that's what they got here. So I kinda need to figure out, do I wanna make sure that this relief cut is lined up on that corner? Because if I pull the film down, I create a very large finger here that I'm gonna struggle to get down, because there's just not enough real estate to work with. As you can see, if I pull it straight down, look at that, it creates a finger all the way up top here, which we don't wanna do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna stretch the film down and push out past this black trim, and I'll have to trim this. And I'll put that in at the end of the video as well too. But there we go. Everything is in place right where it needs to be. Okay, yeah, I'll have to trim that off. But this finger here, this is a manageable finger. There's nothing to worry about with this finger. So what I'm gonna do is spray my attack solution behind the film. I'm gonna pinch the film, I'm gonna pull it back, and I'm gonna saw that finger down. You can see I've created multiple fingers, but all of them are far more manageable than that big one was. There we go, that's good. So, as you can see, I could probably tuck that PPF behind this trim, but I'm not going to. I'm going to come back later when I do my post heating. I'm going to trim that all off and make that look nice. But this is a situation where the pattern is got a little bit too much coverage, and we're going to have to resort to trimming and putting a knife on the vehicle, which is never fun, but if you know how to do it, it's something you very easily can do. You just want to avoid doing it as much as possible. So this whole side is down. This is good. Let's move over to the driver's or to the passenger side. All right, there we go. That's good. Perfect. Now, to start, we're gonna do the exact same thing we did on the driver's side. We're gonna get this lined up right over here. Got nice alignment right there. Just gonna hold that in place with my hands. Your hand can be used, the warmth of your hand can be a really, really helpful tool when you're trying to stretch stuff into place. Now, just gonna take and line that up. There we go, that's good. Now, we are going to, there's a couple things I could do now. I could continue to get this down, but as you can see, the PPF is pulling itself up over here. And if I pull it down, we're creating fingers right here. So I think I'm gonna take care of this in the middle first, and then we'll worry about whatever issues we have over here. So just gonna get more slip solution on top of the film. Now, like I said earlier in the video, we're gonna have a seam on this top piece. So the PPF is like basically right at the very top right here. Definitely too high. So what I'm gonna do is I'm only gonna worry about like from this part of the GMC logo towards the driver's side. I'm just gonna make sure that that is lined up nicely up top here. And by doing that, I'm gonna put some tack solution behind the PPF. And squeegee that down. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here and just with my finger, actually my fingernail, I'm just making sure that my alignment is perfectly in that groove, and it is. So then I'm gonna take my squeegee and I'm gonna go back and forth very lightly. There we go. A little bit more pressure on each pass. And then I'm gonna go a couple times over this body line right here. We have a piece of contamination right here we gotta pop out. Actually, no. That is something that's stuck in the paint. I gotta be completely honest. These newer vehicles are getting painted worse and worse and worse as the years go by. Since I got into doing paint protection film in 2018, vehicles were bad then, but they're only getting worse now. Like, it's incredible. The amount of crap that's just, pardon my language, but the amount of junk that is just stuck in these vehicles is incredible. So I don't even know what that is. It's not a stone chip, because a stone chip would look differently than that. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, now same thing we did on that side. We had to make sure that our alignment was good. Now right over here is where things are gonna get a bit tricky, because we got a finger right where we don't want one, right in the groove. So what I'm gonna do is spray my tack solution right here, right below this corner. And I'm just gonna kind of hold the film in place and just try and figure out exactly where I wanna go. That's good. There we go. Perfect. Okay, that's in place. Now what I can do is, actually I could be able to do this without even getting any tack solution behind there. I'm gonna make sure with my fingernail everything is staying consistent, and it is. There we go, that's good. So same thing with this finger. I'm just gonna create smaller ones. Biggest thing about when you're dealing with fingers is you just want to disperse all that built up material. And you can see it's wanting to stay popping up. So what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of tack solution behind the film. Before we get too terribly carried away, we'll take and squeegee everything else that's down. Okay, now we can continue to work over here. So got this finger here. That was a very minor finger that I probably didn't even need to pull the PPF away from the vehicle. to get that down. Now, there we go. So that's good. Okay, now we need to line this up right here. So I got my tack solution behind the film. Just gonna butt that seam together. So before I stretch, I want to make sure that that seam is down, because there is going to be some tension on there, that's for sure. And it is, that's good. Now we're going to stretch up to this corner right here. And we're just going to hold that in place. As soon as I let go, you can see the film wanting to pull itself back. In a situation like this, stretch it out and use your hand to push the air out from behind the film. And that's going to help get everything to lay nice and flat. Just like so. That's good. And my alignment's good right along here. I don't have to do any stretching there, so that's good. Now we'll come up here. That's good. And we'll squeegee those fingers down. And then you get your squeegee jam between the headlight and the bumper. And we got some fingers wanting to pop up, so I'm just gonna shoot some tack solution behind there. There we go. Okay, that's good. Now if you want to come around to this side, we'll take care of this over here. So right now, I'm just going to stretch that. Actually, there's almost no stretch required to get that lined up. And that's good. And then if we look down over here, our relief cut almost falls right into place where it needs to be, and you can see that we don't have that excess film hanging over. So yeah, so there's definitely some pattern inconsistency with this pattern, and because this is basically falling into place right where it needs to be, and I haven't done anything different as far as my install technique goes from side to side. So go. This minor little finger right here we'll take care of. I would totally say that this side has gone much better than the driver's side did. So now I know for next time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tack solution and flush out the slip solution that's behind the PPF here. And then we'll let that all dry out before we wrap that once we're done. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna make sure to show you guys the trimming that I do on the other side, but I'm gonna do that at the very end of the video once we have this piece installed as well too, so I can do all my trimming all at once. Okay, so we're ready to start installing this upper piece, and this is gonna be the hardest piece to install because it's so tedious, especially with this bottom piece right here. And then we have to line up the seams and whatnot and make sure nothing's overlapping. So not the most fun, but hey, that's fine. So we're gonna start right over here. Now I will have to overlap because this bottom piece came up a little bit high. So I will have to do one minor trim there, but that's fine. So I'm using a much smaller squeegee as well too, just because it just works so much better for these pieces. So I'm gonna start in this corner with my tack solution. And we're gonna get that squeegee down. I'll have to trim that off there like I mentioned, but that's fine. Then we're gonna come up over here. Just a little bit of tack solution. Almost no stretch to get that to stay down. And then we'll come up over here where we have way too high. Actually, no, that'll be fine. So I'll squeegee that down. This right here, this is ridiculous, like wrapping that. So honestly, I'm just gonna trim that. I'm gonna trim it so it stops right here because wrapping that is it's just too much. I'm just gonna be real, like as a professional paint protection film installer, there's proper coverage and then there's excessiveness, and I believe that this is excessive. Now, if we were doing a matte PPF wrap, yeah, I would probably make a relief cut here bigger than what that is and then get that down. But this is a clear PPF wrap and we will be fine. So I got my tack solution in behind the film there. So I'm just gonna squeegee everything down. Go. Now I'm just gonna push the film into place. And then I'm gonna come back with my squeegee and squeegee it down. Now that area that's popping up, this is a prime example of an extreme amount of coverage. So I just shot a bunch of tack solution in there. Now I'm just starting at the top and I'm just working that down with my squeegee. I'm not gonna be overly concerned if that pops up because I can later come back when I do my post heating, heat that up with a heat gun and that'll stay down. So that's good. Now we're gonna come over here and I wanna make sure that my alignment is good. And that is good. So I'm gonna actually take my tack solution, put some behind the film. There we go. Now I'm gonna take and go right to the middle of the M right here. And get that down. You gotta be pretty good with your squeegee skills to get this down. Now I'm slowly working my way over to the driver's side. I'm also going to go over multiple times to make sure that everything's down. Actually, I have to pull the PPF down a little bit right here to get it to line up. Definitely not a fan of doing these bumpers. As you can see, the level of tedious. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pop this up. We can get the middle down later because I'm starting to create large fingers over here that are going to be really hard to deal with. So just quickly shot some tack solution underneath the film right there. Okay, now I'm going to start getting this area down. So I'm just going to take my thumb or my finger and just roll the PPF over around that corner. Now we're going to start working our way up. There we go, got that down. Now, take my thumb and roll the PPF around the corner there. Extreme levels of coverage on this bumper, which is great, just a tad bit unnecessary with some of it. Okay, that's all down. Now, I'm gonna get my slip solution and spray down on the other side because it's long dried out by now. There we go. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch the pattern and everything so it lines up over here. Don't do what I just did. Now, I'm gonna pull the PPF down over here so we can get this down. So you got a bunch of tack solution right there. And that worked quite well because that's helping me pull everything down where it needs to be. It's always nice if you can get the PPF to line up with the seam nicely. It's never easy to do that, but hey. Now I'm just very carefully going along this ridge right over here, making sure there's no moisture left behind. Okay, that's good. We'll leave that for now. Now, get this corner lined up. That's good. Now, get this lined up right here. There we go. That's good. Now you can see we got some fingers that we need to work with here. If I get this to lay flat, this just pushes the finger upwards, but they're so minor, it won't be hard to get down. So I think what I'm going to do is start here. Just pushing all that solution outwards. Now we'll get this down. Spray a bunch of our tack solution in there. Get that all down. Had that issue on the other side of this popping up. So I'm just going to come back here multiple times, and that is popping up. I mean, it'll probably pop up later, but that's good for now. Same thing, I'm going to trim up top there. Now we're going to take and get this down. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna take and push this down. There we go. That's good. All right, there we go. That's good. Now all that's left to do is to do some trimming and then post-heating. I won't show you the post-heating because that's boring, but I will show you some of the trimming. So let's get to it. All right, so we're gonna do some of our trimming right now. So right over here is where you can see the paint protection film is curled up because it's pressed right up against the black trim. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna come, my blade is almost gone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna come right up over here, and I'm very, very faintly, very lightly, just gonna scratch the surface of the PPF, and I'm gonna keep that same consistent gap all the way down. You can hear the blade squealing. That means I'm not touching paint with that knife. I'm just scoring the paint protection film. Then when I get down to the bottom here, I can take and separate that. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna peel this very, very gently. And there we go. And that's good. So there's that. There's that one's trimmed. Now we have down over here where it's overlapping. So in a situation where the PPF is overlapping, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my knife down, the blade, right over top of where it starts to overlap, and just very carefully trim right along there. And just use my fingernail to pop that back. And there we go. And that's perfectly done. Perfect. Now this one right here is going to be a little bit tricky because the PPF wraps around behind the grill and also goes in behind the headlight there. So I'm going to start up top here. Go. There we go. Perfect. Now we can go the same thing on the other side. Probably hard for you to see what I'm doing. There we go. There we go, that's good. Like I said, this is kind of the expected coverage that I was expecting to have up top there. Now we have this last little bit to do. So we're just gonna line the overlap up. Perfect. There we go. That is going to conclude the bumper installation for this GMC Sierra. So it's a 3-part bumper. Yeah, definitely a time-consuming bumper to do. Lots of tedious, intricate work that needs to be done as far as wrapping edges and lining up seams and all that type of stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to watch more, click right here.